Oh man, a monster taming game that isn't Pokemon? Has Chubby gone insane? Yeah. I mean, I guess we've been going hard in the paint with the Regional Retrospective, but hey, can you blame them, man? They've been doing so wonderfully for the channel and y'all have really enjoyed them. But it's good to take a step back once in a while. I mean, I mention all the time that Pokemon didn't invent this genre, and how it's definitely not like the only one, so you know, how about we like actually look back at one of the many games that's taken flight into the world of monster taming. A sure to be wild experience born out of a passion for all things monster. Yeah, I guess you can see where I'm going with this. Monster Hunter Stories, my oh my. Now, this is a series I've been needing to get to, especially as I've been hyping it up in like multiple videos by now, including my video on Dinosaur King, as I believe this game to be the perfect application of that one's rock, paper, scissors style of combat. But hey, we can get there. For now, how did they even come up with this? Well, for starters, Monster Hunter is a series of action RPG titles developed by Capcom in the early 2000s, where you, the player, and a group of friends go on these hunts for these larger-than-life monsters, using their own skin, fangs, and claws to develop armor and weapons to more effectively hunt these beasts. The series has seen moderate success with audiences until Monster Hunter World came out and pretty much smashed through all the barriers, making this series Capcom's best-selling thing of like all time, which is pretty wild considering these are the guys with Mega Man, Devil May Cry, and like all that nonsense. But yeah, safe to say this series is quite popular, though speaking on my own personal experience, I first got a chance to try this series out when my father was gifted Monster Hunter 3 for our Wii. And the most I got out of that experience was basically just, you know, finally owning one of these cool little classic controllers. Well, definitely classic by now, oh my god. The gameplay at the time just felt so sluggish to me, and you know, that's kind of changed with my own recent experiences with the series, but like, I don't know, when I play an action title, I really want that high speed kind of stuff. Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising, or Hi-Fi oh mother! Wait, they're making another one? Is it the same guys? Yeah. Okay, sure, whatever. I guess I'll believe it when I see it. But basically, I like really fast, high-speed, super stuff when it comes to action games. You know, that's just kind of what I like. And Monster Hunter never really scratched that itch for me. I mean, I do respect it a lot, you know. You're really meant to make good use out of those sluggish movements. Instead of like speedily dodging around, you're meant to truly hunt and get into the mindset of a monster, to really read its movements and plan accordingly. It seems cool, and definitely was if sales figures and reviews are to be believed. And with sales comes spin-offs, including multiple different side games, mangas, promo animes, crossovers with Mega Man, Metal Gear, and even Digivices and Transformers? Ah shit, that's pretty cool. I kinda want one of those. But the people had a craving. In a series all about hunting the monsters, fans really wanted to learn more about them and develop a connection with them on a deeper level. And that's exactly what the story series is made to satisfy. Letting the player hatch and train monsters all Pokemon style, which I think is basically an amazing idea. I remember playing the demo on the 3DS like years ago, but not really loving it. Mostly because the early game lacks any of the real depth, kinda like in the early game of Dinosaur King. It was just too easy to predict the opponent, and when you can predict the opponent in a game of Rochambeau, yeah, what's even the point of playing that? If only that demo had lasted just a bit longer, as that's when the heat really gets turned up to 11. But again, that's for later in the video. For now, Monster Hunter Stories was developed to do exactly as I just said, giving the players more interactions with and forming bonds with the monsters they so love to hunt. Revealed during a Capcom event in 2015, with the release date planned for 2016, Monster Hunter Stories came out on the 3DS, with an iOS release coming a year later in 2017. And after years of DLC and updates to the game, we finally got a full remaster on modern consoles in this year of our Lord 2024. Which also includes all the bits of content that came later, outside of like brand deals or Nintendo stuff like the Zelda costumes and Epona. Why wasn't that on the Switch? I mean, you kept the amiibo functionality. I need more reasons to keep these dust collectors, okay? I don't know why I still have them. But hey, it's out and about, and I think it's about time we talk about it. So, the gameplay of Monster Hunter Stories will seem familiar to most viewers of this channel and fans of the rest of this series, as the player explores plenty of open environments with all kinds of things to find, scavenge, fish, or mine. Though be sure to do most of this while riding your monster, as you won't have to sit through that long ass collecting animation every time. Oh my gosh. Though that's not the only reason you're gonna wanna ride on! Since your monsters have different abilities which give you more options for exploring, as well as having different walk and run speeds. And then some just gallop, which is so dumb. I mean, not only is it this janky looking animation, it's stupid slow, and the wild version doesn't even do that. Who trained you? Who taught you this, you stupid frog thing? God, I blame that dumbass Dan. I hate that guy. We'll get to him. But while exploring, you'll find monster dens, and when you head inside, you'll find monsters, items, and even little nests where you can test your luck doing a few limited but random chances to get monster eggs with different rarities. Kinda like a gacha system, but way more manipulatable for our favor, since we can use paintballs to hit on wild monsters to get their exclusive dens for the guys that we really want. Though be careful, as when you're inside of dens, if a monster catches you, they won't be too happy and they won't let you steal their babies easily. Of course, you could also get like fragments of eggs and then kind of Frankenstein your own egg together, which is interesting, though I guess it's not the only way we manipulate monster DNA. In the different towns, we actually get different shops, side quests, the monster stables, and this little prayer pot that gives us certain bonuses depending on how much money or charms we give it. Battle-wise, this game takes many elements from Monster Hunter and Monster Taming's earliest titles such as Shin Megami Tensei, where the player fights alongside their monster partners, being able to switch them out at any time as each monster has its own strengths and weaknesses, as well as a special move that the player can make use of when they have a certain amount of bond points. Each monster favors one of the 3 Rochambeau styled attack types: power, speed, and technical, but will on occasion use something other than their preference as a way to counter the enemy's attack or just to be different. You kinda gotta watch them for that. But the chance of a fluke goes down the more you two build your kinship. As for the player, you most likely know the drill. The player gains new attacks and abilities as they slay monsters, attaining new armor and weapons from their body parts, with each weapon and armor having their own stat abilities and even moves, and you can collect even more from certain quest lines that give you new skills. I know what all I just said may sound simple, but I really must impart on you just how insane the customization is for this game. Armor, weapons, monsters, you can just change just about everything to fit your playstyle perfectly. And I do mean everything, right down to the genetics of your own monsters, giving them more resistances to elemental attacks or giving them straight up new elemental attacks. More health, more defense, more attacks, you can literally rip the fire breathing out of a dragon and put it in a cow! The customization in this game is absolutely incredible. If you find yourself favoring a strategy, this game will give you more than enough ability to make perfect use of it, and then incrementally change your kit and your monsters to fit around it. And the game will even reward you with a bonus if you wear armor that's made of the same monsters that you own, which is kind of fucked up, but still. Now, hold on, what about the Rochambeau battle system? Well, you can assume that rock/power beats scissors/technical, and that beats paper/speed. It's a triangle that allows for attacks to succeed or fail depending on the choices. So if you lose, the attack goes through, if you tie, you both get hurt, and if you lose, well, you lose. But in this game, you can still take damage even if you win, but it goes the same for the opponent as well. It's honestly like a little confusing why it works the way it does, but it's useful still for blocking power attacks or ones with bonus effects. And again, you have other options for victory, including these Mario Party-ass minigames that will just happen randomly, having your monster compete in a tug-of-war of sorts with the winner doing damage and filling the kinship meter, which powers our special attacks but also allows us to ride on and mount our monsters to deal heavy amounts of damage at the cost of only 1 attack per turn. However, we also get access to a monster's unique super move, which not only increases in power with each successful clash, but also has a lot of unique effects and will even match the elemental type of your monster if you change it, which I think's really cool. Though be careful, as if you lose too many clashes or you run too low on health, then the ride is off. And now you're at a disadvantage. And when either you or your monster faints, then you lose 1 of 3 heart points, and losing all 3 means you just, well, lose. Of course, here's where items come in to help you maintain your health, deal damage or status to enemies, or even trap them like in the main series games. All in all, it's a very fun and unique battle system, but I have a few issues. One, the player character is so damn fragile. I mean, honestly, only 1 or 2 hits from a monster and you're basically gone. And I swear most of my time during a battle was making sure my player character was prepping life support on themselves after only a few turns. And I get that the monster is supposed to be our main damage option, but with all the time I put into all these interesting skills and armor enhancements, I just kinda wish my guy was more than the potion bitch, you know? Then we have the Rite of Channeling, basically how we change our monster's genetics. This mode can be so confusing. I mean, for one thing, most monsters have their slots like grayed out by default, and you need to find certain extremely rare stimulants in order to unlock them. Which, okay, not the worst thing I guess, but when you factor in how limiting the game is with how you can place these genes, and I mean really, I'm already giving up a whole other monster just to do the ritual. Can I not just pick the stupid spot where the damn thing goes? Why does it have to be in the same spot as the original monster? Also, why is changing a monster's element so confusing? I mean, you'd think putting a bunch of electric genes into a monstie would make it electric, but no. They specifically have to be electric genes that boost electric attack power. If it's resistance or any other type, then no, it has no effect on that, which is so why? So if you want your monstie to be like a different color, then you have to be prepared for like a serious grinding session for specific genes randomly found on certain monsters that you already get randomly from eggs. And then we have the bingo system that gives you bonuses for however many of these you fulfill, which can be difficult if you're trying to use only a certain build. Thankfully, there are items that can be used to help this, but all in all, I think this system needs some serious work. Thankfully, the sequel will kind of help in this area. In some ways. The next thing wrong is the battle pouch. Yeah, when you want to use items from your bag in a battle, you have to remember to put them in a separate bag with a limited amount of slots. Now, this makes sense in the mainline Monster Hunter where you need to prepare and plan before each hunt, and you really only have some space in your main bag. But in this game, we really aren't taking that time because we can just teleport around and knock out a bunch of monsters right in a row. And with things being that fast paced, I'd really like my full bag in a battle, you know? It'd be really useful. Especially when I'm in one of those areas where I need a certain item to attack semi-regularly. And the weapons, man, they're all just the same. Like, there is no real difference between the swords, hammers, shields, horns. I mean, sure, they may have certain little skills, but in practice, they're all just one big beat stick that I use to do less damage than the monster right beside me. In the second game, they add another little triangle for combat where types of damage like piercing, blunt, and slashing do more or less damage depending on the part of the monster. And that works incredibly well and actually makes me want to focus on more than one weapon at a time, instead of just taking the one that hits a tad harder. Not to mention, monster parts being targetable and breakable is actually something you can do to give you a certain advantage, which, I mean, this game kinda has that for certain bosses, but it's such a unique combat mechanic that I wish we could just do it here for the majority of encounters, which is also another thing the sequel fixed, so I guess there's not really much to complain about. Though there is something that has bothered me ever since I've gotten into this series, and it's the fact that there is plenty of other sub-monsters that we just can't use, like the mini shark guys, or the bugs, or the other members of the Jaggy species. I understand they're much smaller and weaker compared to the big boys, but I wish there was some way to tame them too. In my opinion, something really interesting for Monster Hunter Stories 3 to do would be to allow us to tame these other monsters as like supporter monsters. Basically a 7th monster slot that you can't ride, but in battle gives your player and your monster certain bonuses, while also being another thing for the enemies to aim at, which helps with the human squishiness. I can't believe I grinded for this armor and I'm getting taken out like it's paper. I'm so pissed off. I can see maybe using certain support monsters will actually give you extra bonuses if they have a symbiotic relationship to a monster in your party. For instance, Kulu and the other little roller bugs could give each other stronger moves in reference to how it scoops them up to spit fire. And maybe having the other Jaggy dudes gives the leader a bonus attack. Or the electric bugs allows your Zenogre, Zinogre? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce these guys. Allows your Zinogre the ability to turn Super Saiyan easier in battle. Though a potential trade-off could be that maybe these specialized supporters aren't as useful when their big brother isn't on the field. But like, I can really see this working well, especially when we already have the mechanic where if you match an armor with your monster, you get a bonus. So why not match a supporter with your monster as well? I don't know, I really would like this. Both of these games just have monsters that I wish I could do something with, but you can't, and I feel like that's such a waste. But other than that, the sequel basically changes all my little problems with this game, so yeah, I guess it's not a big deal. Probably should have carried all that stuff over for this remaster, now that I'm thinking about it. But hey, speaking on that remastering, this game looks damn good. I mean, if I had to complain, maybe I'd say something about the lack of detail or foliage in some of the explorable areas. Like, a lot of it is just fields of green, tan, or white. And you know, I know this is a 3DS game, but like, we could have added some more detail here and there. But otherwise, I do like the colors, and I really love the manga-inspired designs mixed with the typical look of Monster Hunter. I think this is a killer combo, and I really enjoyed it. Maybe could have helped to add some more detail for characters and monsters, again, for a console remaster. I mean, at least enough so that the game doesn't just clash with the pre-rendered cutscenes. But still, I enjoyed this game visually, especially that included art book, where we get to see some looks and sketches for this game's style. I found a lot of this super interesting, especially with some of the beta ideas, which are just straight up better for some of the characters we got. But it's always interesting to see the design process for a game. And I love the Monster Hunter story style. It's got a big storybook energy, and I love it. Would not mind at all if more story games came out in this style. Though, I have to admit, the sequel's more realistic look is probably better overall. But come on, you know me, I love me some goofy cartoons, let's be real. Fucking Chowder was the mascot for this channel for the longest time. Alright, it's time for story. Skip here to avoid all story spoilers for Monster Hunter stories. Okay, so this time around we're playing as our good buddy, Ryder. Why? Well, that's what they're calling us the whole game anyway. Might as well have a joke to myself that they're just saying it wrong. It's kind of like Spider-Man. She can always tell every time they say it wrong, but nobody pays attention to him. That's just so terrible. Anyways, Ryder and the boys are out and about hunting for monster eggs, and here we meet our good buddy Cheval, a fellow monster tamer in training, and Lilia, a girl with a big heart who's unsure about what to do in her life. The three end up finding a cool monster egg, but not sure what to do with it as they're not riders, and as such, they don't have kinship stones. What are those?
What are those?
Nope, no dead memes, we're beyond that. No. I'm never beating those allegations.
You are so corny.
Well, a kinship stone is a powerful crystal that allows for deeper bonds to connect man and monster, with riders being a tribe of these people that live far away from the world, since that is the world of hunters, which basically dislikes their practice of kinship, which makes zero sense to me. Cause really, hunters and riders do the exact same thing, but one has the obscene advantage of a giant attack dog dragon that's trained to love us loyally like a big puppy. Obviously, one of us is doing this way better than the other. Anywho, the boys get some stones and pretend to have kinship power, but obviously, that's not gonna work. What the? As Ryder gets closer, a bond of kinship seems to form without a stone allowing the egg to hatch. And though Lilia is excited, Cheval is dumbstruck, as he should be, because this is some serious Messiah level shit happening right now. Though unfortunately these kids are in the Old Testament, and when they return home, a plague in the form of a corrupted monster goes on the attack in their town, crushing Cheval's mother. Damn. Of course, our new monster buddy isn't letting this slide, but unfortunately he's just a little baby and he gets thrown off the fucking cliff into the chasm of death. Good lord. Though, I guess I should put that in like large quotations, as this is an RPG after all, he's definitely gonna come back. Though he does get a cool plot scar for his troubles. Cheval? Oh no, all he gets is angst. Again, RPG, we know what this is. Cut a few years later and it's time for our test to become a true rider. Lilia sure is happy for us, but old Cheval here is already passed and he's heading the fuck out of this stupid place. Yeah, straight up abandoning his home and the rider's code of friendship. How to even pass the test with that attitude? I don't know, but I guess I don't blame him for leaving, as it seems nobody ever tried to help this child get over the literal death of their mother. And man, he's still very much not over it. And he even claims that all monsters are a threat. And it's like, wow. You guys are the exact opposite of it takes a village to raise a child. Apparently, it takes one to destroy one. Y'all suck. What a moral failing on all the adults of this place. I mean, sure, his mom died, but in all this time, nobody ever tried to talk him through this? Nobody? Man, fuck Yoda. And speaking of Yoda, him and Doofus here are here to help us become a true writer, having us use our new kinship stone on it. No, God, no. Instead of hatching, we meet up with this thing, who will be soon christened as Naviru. He claims to be a true world traveler, having seen all the sights, but that doesn't much matter since riders aren't really allowed to leave due to the prejudice of hunters, so never mind that. Either way though, we do get our first little monster to help begin us on our journey. I'm sorry, Monsty? Monsty? Oh, fuck that. Monsty? No, that's dumb. That's just dumb. And what's worse is everybody starts calling them beasties later. And honestly, that would have been a way better name if we had to give them a separate title. I mean, come on, it works so much better as a play on words as it's already a word to begin with. And also, why do we need a separate word for these guys? For real, what's the separation between our monsters and the wild monsters? I'm wearing their mother's skin. They know what's going on here. But anywho, we get our stone cleanse in the special pool of legend, and the plagued beastie returns to attack us. And I'm really like, y'all ain't took care of this thing in like the 2 years between now and then? No wonder Cheval is still paranoid. The damn mother killer is still out there. Well, after a scrap or two, the thing flees, and we head back to base, where Yoda hits us with his sound cloud explaining what's going on. Basically, what's up is there is a dark plague virus, I don't know, but it's a dark force that's a natural part of the Earth's ecosystem that rears its ugly head every once in a while that causes the kinship stones to corrupt, and makes the monsters go wild in an uncontrollable rage. However, the legends tell of a hunter forming a bond with a white dragon, way before the concept of riders and kinship stones were common knowledge, with the two's bonds being able to overcome it. But now it has returned in the form of the Black Blight. Now, in case you're unaware, Blight is actually something that does appear in nature. It's a bit of a disease that plants can get, especially produce, that leaves these little dead-looking spots and even holes, and hell, even some other serious injury on the plant itself. It's actually usually a symptom of a much larger problem for plants, kind of like how you can get like a headache from like multiple things. Plants can get blighted from bacteria or fungal infections, which does make me wonder if this blight is actually some sort of infection but can only be spread to monsters. Though it's also been spread to people and cats too, we'll get there. The game doesn't really give us a big reason what or why the blight is a part of nature, but it is heavily weak to the bonds of kinship between man and monster. And speaking on that, say hello to the Scriveners, who were politely waiting for me to get over my little farmer rant. I apologize, I never get to talk about my hobbies, he says on his YouTube channel, talking about his favorite genre of video game. The Scriveners are basically the main research group involved with the hunters, and they're here to study the blight as it is kind of spreading all across the world. We tell them what we know, but before they depart, Lilia actually decides to join them. The poor girl has never felt the path of the rider is right for her. However, she does love monsters and wants to stop the blight. And since the Scriveners are the top researchers on monsters and want to stop the blight as well, it makes perfect sense for her to join their ranks, while also using this as an opportunity to go into the wider world and find Cheval. There is some pushback, especially from this doofus, but ultimately she's not a writer, so the laws or the code don't really apply to her. Speaking on Cheval, we actually see him pass an obviously blighted crystal as he just kind of angrily walks off. Okay, I have no idea what the fuck's going on with this guy. I thought you hated the blight. Why are you ignoring that whole ass crystal, dude? Well, now it's time for Ryder and Naviru to figure out their own path, and it sure as hell ain't sitting in this stupid valley while the world goes under, with us finding the same crystal and its guardian, the same blighted beast from earlier. After finally putting down the berserked creature, we use our own kinship stone to purify the crystal, and are then finally given permission to go out and explore the wider world. What the fuck? Why was that even a law in the first place if the 3 people who leave aren't stopped at all? You're killing me. You're killing me. Fuck you, dumbass Dan. Fuck you, Yoda. I'm out of this bitch. Bye. Finally leaving, we head out and meet all kinds of characters and find plenty of new locations, including the home base of all hunters, Gildergon. Of course, they ain't too happy to see us at first, but after helping them with a few tasks, they learn to relax a little bit, especially since they seem to have a Yoda of their own. The main character of this area is actually a man by the name of Reverto. Reverto Suave. The so-called coolest hunter with the crippling fear of bugs. Though thankfully he can at least temper it when it comes to spiders. Good on you, Roberto, those things are arachnids, and that's completely different. Spider-man would be so proud. Though he does level with us a bit, and after beating a particular monster, we chill with him and he waxes poetically about the connections of nature and man. It's something his master taught him. Anyway, after some interesting small talk, he decides that the riders may be the ultimate end goal of the type of bond he sees, and he even states that there really isn't that much different between hunters and riders. And like, yeah. Okay, but like seriously, am I the crazy one here? We both hunt and skin monsters. Hell, both of us seem to have some ability to tame these creatures. I'm just doing the obvious endpoint of that. I really don't understand why there's this like perceived difference between these two. But I do kind of enjoy a monster tamer where the dangerous quirks of the monsters is kind of feared by people in a real way. I mean, of course some other games have done something like similar, but not really to this extent. Even so, I like Reverto, so it was a no-brainer for the boys to go help when his hometown is getting majorly destroyed by the bad vibes, man. Anywho, as we're hunting for a way to fix things, these bozos come stomping in with their enhanced monsters, which seem to have their own kind of messed up kinship stones, which then brings up the idea to the hunters that what we do and what they do is one and the same, but like, no. Duh, I mean, we're friends with monsters. They're literally controlling them with like robotics and all this messed up shit. What's wrong with you people? Why, like, these people are so, I feel like the woman in like the square hole of it, you know what I'm talking about, where he just keeps putting the shapes in the square. I feel like that. That's what I feel like right now. So obviously we had to prove this shit wrong, so we go out to prove our bonds, of course leading us into direct conflict with the evil old doctor and his loudmouth assistant. Especially when the Dinobot goes berserk and we have to calm it down with oh reliable bonk. Once the beast chills out, who else but Cheval comes in after his Sasuke-ass training arc, good lord. He goes in for the kill, but obviously we get in the way. The Monster Zord and the Blighted monsters have one thing in common. Well, actually a lot in common, but that's for later. For now, they're in no control of their actions and they shouldn't really be put down if it isn't necessary. This one is relaxed now, it should be freed, not slaughtered. And of course Cheval disagrees, once again calling Bond stupid and that all threats to humans need to die, blah blah blah, but he ain't really strong enough to make us do anything, so he just fucks off into the unknown. With things cleared up and another corrupted crystal purified, it's time to give the doctor a little house call, especially with all his robotic monsters going berserk. And thankfully we get a new personal ride in the form of Ratha, who's revealed to have survived the ordeal back in the village, but at the cost of one of his eyes and some angsty infection messing up his brainwaves, with only the light of the kinship stone being able to quell him. We make it to the doctor's lab and we learn a few things. One, he's got a whole megazord of cyborgs waiting around at his beck and call. And two, he didn't just experiment with monsters, as we find a whole litter of kitties that he's done some work on. This litter actually being the same that Naviru here is from, which explains why he can randomly go Super Saiyan. I don't know why he couldn't have used that during important battles before, but whatever. You see, Naviru here was experimented on by the bad doctor, forcing the cats to undergo experiments to gain new abilities at the cost of their freedom. Naviru actually managed to escape and formed a plan to free the others, but he holds no memory of anything due to him falling face first into the ocean. Yeah, surface tension's a bitch. But now Naviru's back, and he teams up with the other 5 to break out of this hellhole. But not before taking things to Dr. McGilger himself, who's revealed to yet again have another enhanced monster, and a giant, obviously corrupted crystal where he gets his own stones from. Yeah, you can kind of see where this is going. Obviously, his beast starts getting blighted and we take it down, with Dr. McGilger trying to fire his new face weapon at us, but not before the kitties swarm Voltron and outblast him, leading us to barely escape with our lives. Also, Delby and Avinia are here. I've basically had no reason to mention them because they really don't do anything, but they're here, I guess. I mean, the other number cats don't really do anything either, but at least they have some connection to Naviru. Avinia is just like another rider from another village that's just kind of hanging around. And Delby is a con man who wants to be a rider. I guess we don't really do anything with that. Mostly he's just kind of annoying and repeats a lot of shit we already know and does like some food jokes, which I mean, Naviru kind of does that too, but God, I feel like fucking King Kai right now. You know, shut up Naviru, shut up Delby, shut up Cheval! Shit, Cheval's back. And after coming in contact with his first corrupted crystal, Wrathy is understandably feeling his phantom brain damage start to act up, and he goes berserk, and Cheval tries to end him! But we kick his ass, and he goes, God damn it, I can't believe the power of friendship is this strong, and he just leaves. Fuck, whatever, dude, just get out of here. With Avinia then being like, you know, maybe Ratha has a resistance to the Blight, which, okay, I guess good foreshadowing, but why are you here? And then we head to Naviru's backstory island after already having Naviru's backstory island, and here we find his girlfriend, his bullies, and you could not pay me to give a shit about this place. Good God, get me out of here. I mean, I guess Avinia's having a good time since she really likes cats, and Delby. Hey, Chub, look, I found a cool little pig! Okay, yeah, we're leaving. See ya, don't write, fuck off, bye! Heading back to the main plot, we learned some new things from our good old Lilia, who's really been making some headway in her research on the Blight, when she's not blaming herself for Cheval leaving. Oh my God, that village really needs a therapist. Anywho, she leads us to an old ruin with a mural that shows the whole legend of the original writer, and hints that the white dragon may have an egg nearby. But before we can grab it, who else but Dr. Manelger comes in and snatches it, whizzing off in his light-speed air balloon. You can develop light-speed travel and give creatures elemental powers? Think of all the good that can be done with that science. I don't want to do good, I want to corrupt dinosaurs! God, I love Spider-Man. Anywho, again, while the hunters chase after him, we are needed to go around and fix the last few stones in need of uncorrupting. Where we meet the legendary Kirin, who stands guard over one of the crystals, and we have a penultimate battle with Cheval, where his monster starts to go berserk. But not from any sort of blight, but the impressive aura of our matching outfits. Pose! No, it's actually just because it doesn't want to fight like this anymore. You know, the whole no good relationship thing they got going on. And Cheval ends up abandoning poor little Wrathy? Aw, you can't be sentimental. But too bad you just left the poor bastard, but you know, angst or whatever. What an asshole, honestly. But in comes Manelger. God, I really hate this guy's name. But in comes Manelger to give our friend the next chance he needs to destroy the Blight. Because the bad doctor's latest experiments have been total failures, and now he needs a true writer to take command of the White Dragon. And Cheval is all too happy to oblige, leading him to hatch the White Dragon, turn Super Saiyan God, and then leading them and us to the final resting place of the final corrupted crystal. Ryder, Naviru, Lilia, and our monsters come together to try and stop the Blight and try to bring Cheval back to his senses, leaving Roberto and the scrimmagers to hold down the fort while we're gone. Hey man, should we help those kids or something? Oh no, this is an important character moment. Us side characters are to stay behind as we won't add anything of value. Haha, yeah dude, I guess that makes sense. And that explains why Olivia, Delby, and any of the any of those fucking cats. That just explains why they ain't fucking here, right? Who? Inside the now frozen castle, we face Cheval one more time to try and snap him out of things, only for Cheval to reveal that he's fully aware of who Dr. Manelger. I hate that. He knows who the doctor is, and he even allowed him to modify his kinship stone, like he did to those robo monsters. And then of course everything then goes to shit, as while we try to battle him and the white dragon becomes corrupted by the black Blight, turning on his rider and the others, with Naviru now coming to the realization that the Blight is only formed when bonds between riders and monsters are misaligned. Which I guess makes sense. I mean, it's kind of hinted that Dr. Manelger's experiments are what led the Blight to come back, but one, how did you figure this out? And two, if that's the case, how did all this start in the time before Riders? But then a dark blast erupts from the dragon, aimed right for Cheval, with his partner Rathy jumping in to take the brunt of the blast, but still knocking them over the side of the cliff. Lilia runs after them, and then we're tasked with scaling the rest of the frozen castle to battle the beastie, now in its final dark form. Of course, before that happens, Ratha's resistance starts acting up and it turns blighted, cause I guess Alvidia doesn't know how resistances work. We battle and calm down our friend, but our kinship stone was lost in the scuffle. Naviru gives in and wonders about how we're supposed to do this without the stone, and he really emphasizes and dwells on how bad this whole thing is, which kind of feels out of character for him. But we prove that our bonds are more than stone deep, and we battle the final boss, ultimately with the encouragement of Lilia and a newly cured Cheval. I mean, I guess he's cured, or the thing. So, I mean, I kind of got hints that he himself may have been blighted, kind of like the cats during the pickle incident. Please don't ask about the pickle incident. But anyway, that may have explained his like Super Saiyan God hair and why he's been such a dick since the Blight has shown up. But whatevers, we slay the demon dragon using our Deus Ex Machina white dragon form, alongside the Super Saiyan kitty, purging it and the world of the Black Blight. A little bit later, we see our three heroes reunite at the same nest where this all began, and after a quick trip to the tomb of the original writer, we place our shattered stone on the altar and it actually gets repaired. For some reason, I kind of thought we didn't really need this anymore since we also made bonds without stones like the original writer, and we even had a white dragon to like prove it, but okay, I guess that's how it goes. You made all those animations, why waste them? Anyways, here's a bunch of post-game areas to enjoy if you're interested, and blah blah blah. That's the story of Monster Hunter Stories. Yeah, this really is the weakest part. I mean, the story is very stock standard with plenty of characters that are honestly kind of forgettable at parts. Like, I genuinely didn't remember who Lilia was when we saw her in the Scrivener town because I legit just forgot she existed. And she's a main character. There was like interesting ideas. I do like a lot of the nature stuff with Roberto. I like the contrast of that with the machinations of Dr. Manelger, or however the fuck you say that name. And I did like the idea of our character essentially embodying the legend of the original writer as the story went on, but parts of this plot just didn't matter all too much, and a lot of that has to do with the tertiary cast. Delby and Avinia are characters that really could have been completely axed from the story and nothing would have been lost. Which sucks, because I do like Avinia as a character. She's this cool writer from another village, which would have been a really cool idea to like see other styles of writers from other parts of the world, but she doesn't really do anything like that, and we definitely could have found the Wyvern and defeated the tube sock monster without her. All she did was break one wall and that was about it. Delby didn't do anything. He kinda helped us find Manelger's lab, but like we were right outside the front door when he showed up out of nowhere, and after that he just wouldn't leave. He just kept calling himself a writer in training, but he made no effort to actually try and do that. He never found a stone or even attempted to try and find the writer village. He finds a pig, which I guess can be a monster if you collected all the scattered poogies around the game, but he never does anything with it, which sucks. Especially because in like the art books, we get to see his old design concepts. And his weapon, which looks like an abacus, he was generally a really cool business type who used his skills to feed his brothers and sisters, which is cool on its own. But he had so much aura doing all of that on top of these super big monsters. Look how cool he is. He didn't need no stone to be a writer. He just did it by existing, just like the original one. That's kind of funny. I like that. And hey, speaking on the books, we actually got a lot of the neat ideas that were thrown out. For like the evil doctor and how he's like actually a big fan of monsters, but was never able to become a writer, which led him down that dark path. And his assistant, who actually was plotting the doctor's demise all Starscream style, which would have been way better of a character trait than having the goofy Dr. Eggman bull. I'm just gonna level with you. I really don't like these two, like at all. Like Manelger, he's got some interesting things, but eh. And the assistant, He just looks annoying. I can't look at him. I hate looking at him. Cheval? Cheval was pretty good, but I swear, I just stopped caring after a while. He just kept doing and saying the same thing with no nuance. I can't be sad about his mom because we saw her once and then she died. I don't even know her name. How am I supposed to care about anything Cheval's going through? The game gives you nothing to work with him, and he just gets so agonized. He's like, man, I'm a writer. Being a writer, stupid, bonds and friendships, but even though that's exactly what he's using the fight, which is so... There's nothing here. And Lilia, just so forgettable. I just said, like, I have it in my script, I genuinely forgot about her halfway through the game because she's not here for most of it, and that's what, because, you know, she's one of the main characters. And that's literally what I said, like, a few minutes ago. There's nothing else to say about this poor girl. And then Naviru, God, I hated this character. Ever since I laid eyes on him on my first playthrough of 2. I don't like his design. It looks so weird in comparison to the other Palicos. And maybe that's intentional, but man, he looks like a corporate plant. Specifically designed to be a mascot, and I hate it. And I can't stand his awful voice. No shade to the VA, I'm sure you're amazing, but this is the most annoying character I've ever had to meet, and he doesn't shut up. He's always talking, and the lines are usually nothing. He's either repeating shit we already know, making awful jokes, and I don't mean awful like cringy, I just mean straight up not funny. Or he makes the dumbest observations. Yes, Naviru, the Black Dread is the Black Blight. We know that you have to know that. These people just came up with their own name. It looks exactly... It's stupid. It's stupid, and his character arc about not fitting in with the other cats and then his bond with another number of cats is just pointless. None of it meant anything. It could have been ripped from this story, and nothing would change. Even his use of the Super Saiyan form, it's never even useful at all. What does he use it once? He uses it once to like try and save us, and he doesn't even save us, so I don't, whatever. And he can't even use it in battles. It's just like this cutscene only thing. I spent so much of this game, like putting you in costumes or changing your whole look to look like the other numbers or just anything, but man, you just suck no matter what you do, don't you? Please, please don't have him in Stories 3. You have me relating to the stupid bully cats that I also hated. That entire island just felt so bad. I just straight up didn't care if he made any friends with those jerks. Especially since I already know that he just leaves that shit behind in the next game anyway. And the numbers. Why do we have them? Like, for real, they don't do anything with their powers, and it's so lame. Nabiru is the exact character I hate in all games with a silent protagonist. He's the mouth. The player can't say anything, so here's this little bastard to be the voice that's shoved down our throat. Ugh. Please stop doing these in games. If Pokemon and Zelda can manage not to have this problem for the most part, I think any series can. It's sad we don't have the ability to tame the dragons or the mecha monsters, or even the Blight and Light forms of Ratha. That would have been really cool. I guess Ratha as a character is okay. I hate that in this game and the next one we had to give up a team slot for him. That feels so boring since I like to have a balanced team and I just don't want 3 power monsters on a squad, you know? I mean, at least in this game I can customize him, you know, to like have a different element or something, which is pretty cool. But like for Monster Hunter Stories 3, just do some work on this idea, especially because unlike 2, Ratha is also a character I just kind of forgot about because we go 10 hours without seeing him. What the hell was that about? Overall though, Monster Hunter Stories is a very interesting game, but it's one that's carried heavily by its gameplay, visuals, and music. And those are all things the sequel do better. The story of 1 is just not very good in my opinion, but I'd still recommend this game as a whole. It's a fun, unique experience that I do wish you at home get the chance to play for yourself. Just play the sequel first. It's a much better game, at least I think so. Alright, how about my teams? Ratha the Rathalos, the Pikachu of this series. I kinda hate the human ears. Is that just me? I don't know. He's a cool dragon, and he was even cooler when I made him dragon type. I like him. Though I hope in later games him and Naviru don't have to be permanent fixtures to our team. I really do miss that 6 monster slot to be honest, and let's be real, you can only do the corrupt Ratha plot so many times. Like, that's just gonna get old after 2. Nibbles the Zamtrios, or however you say that, part shark, part frog, all cool. With his icy armor and my gene splice water-based attacks, I just loved him. But I didn't stop there because I did want to have some thunder fangs, which was also really cool. Have you seen them teeth? Just come on. I love him, I just kind of wish he didn't jump like that when we walk like the other ones just walk normally. I wish you did that. This is so weird. Ghost, the Shrouded I really don't know how to pronounce these names. Nurskilla? Whatever. Named after Gwen Stacy's spider identity, since we use Peter for our Ariados and Pokemon, this was my main status inducer and it did spectacularly in that field. Which it did while also having some pretty good combos. I just really like this thing. It was amazing. Something something hyphen man. You know the joke. Broggy the Icy Barroth, using his mudslinging skills to cover up his own weaknesses while bringing the big damage. I named him after the giant in One Piece, cause just like him, he's always ready for a fight. True warriors till death did them part. Eat your heart out, Jade Barroth, I got you at home and he's even better. The G-O-A-T, the Jaggy. I always had a soft spot for this weirdly chubby raptor ever since I saw him in Ultimate, and then when I found out he had such a fan base behind him and how he is the true strongest creature, I mean, how could I not use him? He's always had his gang ready to rough up some roughnecks, and he did it all with his electric personality, quite shocking. A must-have on any team, let's be real. And now for the ace monster, Lilith the Black Diablo. The perfect little demon to pair up with Ryder, as the two of them were always about that headstrong, vicious attack, consequences be damned. Wish you wouldn't put yourself out of commission so often though. But hey, when you're in fighting form, no battle was beyond our reach. Plus they match and that was really cute. I had a lot of fun with this team and I was happy to use them, especially Lilith. Though the MVP was probably Broggy, he came in handy way more than I even thought he would. And I gotta give props for that. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for Monster Hunter, at least for now. We'll get to that sequel, I promise, but right now, your boy's kinda tired and, let's be honest, drained. I need a drink.